Welcome to Soulful Sundaze.
Okay, it sounds right.
Come on now, drum roll.
Yes.
I think there's something to narrowing down that sister circle.
Welcome to Soulful Sundaze, where we are bringing you soul-inspired conversations. I am your host, Lena Anthony, and these are my beautiful co-hosts, Judy Johnson and Raquel Ballou.
Hey.
And today we have a very, very special episode for our women and men.
Yes.
This episode is Men, We Need You. So we've decided to bring on two very powerful men of God who have amazing insight on what it takes to be a man of character.
Yes.
And what a better conversation to have two brothers of ours who are so wise. And I just want to introduce our guest, actor, producer, director, father, Will Catlett.
Hey.
And over here we have actor, author, bishop, husband, Van Brown.
We're so happy to have them.
Honestly.
Let's just jump to it.
Yes, Soulful Sundays. Let's
Soulful
toast.
Sundaze. I don't know why your coffee's
Here
all
you
the
go,
way
here you
over
go.
here, but we toasting.
You said let's jump to it. Y'all jumping to drinks.
That's how we do it on Soulful Sundays.
Okay.
Sunday
Soulful
morning.
Sundays. Our soul
Cheers.
sisters welcome our men of soul.
Yes. Clink,
Cheers. First of all, can I just say that they're both so special to me because at one point in my life, both of these men have propelled me into purpose.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for both of y'all.
Yeah.
I've never really told you guys that. Both of you have propelled me into purpose.
Yeah.
And actually, all of us sitting
Yeah.
here. So
I
thank
mean,
you.
where I am today is as you both directly touch my livelihood in my personal life, in my professional life, in my spiritual life. So I'm grateful to have this conversation with y'all. I'm so happy y'all get to have them too.
Yes.
Same thing for me. I met both of them when I first came to LA, fresh off the boat 8 years ago. And these two men has been true brothers to me, and just they've been like my spiritual and growth mentors, honestly, if I can be honest.
Same.
So thank you guys for being here today. We really do appreciate it. But let's get into this.
Why do we need to have this conversation, Lena?
Because we need our men, and I am
Yes.
so tired of society and so many talk shows, I am going to say,
Tell 'em.
breaking our good men down. Like, a lot of times men growing up don't even know how to be a good man, but you have women tearing them down, so they're never going to learn.
Yeah.
So I wanted to bring two men on that not only support women, but also support men.
Yeah.
And these men are so healthy and so whole. And I think they have so many good things to teach, not just, we don't want to be selfish. So it's good to share this to the world because I want us to change our perspective when it comes to black men or men, period. Like, let's really celebrate our men. We need our men. We cannot do life without our men.
Yes.
So I want to just talk. We're going to have fun this episode. We have some questions from our audience that we had sent in ahead of time. So let's talk. What is the reason for such high levels of destructive men?
Ooh,
Who want to take the floor?
First of all, we want to say thank you for the invitation. This forum is literally God's work, simply because your intent is to target a problem and then you're presenting solutions. And that's what God has called us to do. I want to first honor my brother Will. I have known him for at least over a decade now. And I have seen this brother transformed. He's not only always been courageous and giving and kind-spirited, but now he's taken it to a whole nother level where the world is starting to see the fruits of everything that he has been doing in the privacy of his closet. But this is why the world is missing the male figure. It's because we fail to honor encourage and edify each other. So we have that relationship. The reason why you see such high levels of destructive men is because from the very beginning, God has called men to be the foundation. The Bible says the man, the husband, is the cornerstone. And if you know the way they build houses in Israel, the last cornerstone literally sets the whole foundation. And God says the man, he is the blueprint for the start of the family. The devil knows that. So he's going to send all of his arrows at the men. Lust, drugs, addiction, the absentee of a father. So we have little boys raising little boys. And it's on purpose. So we have little boys raising little boys, and the father is missing. And the cycle keeps repeating itself. The mother is alone, raising a young man. No, I don't care how much wisdom she has, she could never teach a man what it means to be a father. He could only reproduce after its own kind. And so every time you see the absentee of a father, you see the destruction of the communities. So until we encourage our men to first know what it is to be a man, and then develop and give that fruit back to his kids and kids, you will keep seeing the destruction play out over and over and over.
I think an easier way to stop the destruction is to communicate. You know, men talking to other men on the street. You know, seeing your image and seeing your reflection, it does something powerful for another man, even if it's just a handshake. Brother, keep going. How you doing? You need anything? So it's not so much the huge thing. It's the little things that you can do. I've learned so much. I mean, I grew up with my mother and father, you know, and I remember my mother saying a man's voice carries and a woman's doesn't. And she's not negating the woman. She's just saying he's going to respond to a certain tone.
Right.
So sometimes, you know, as I mentor young men, I might not be their biological father, but the way they see me walk in the room with confidence, the way I shake their hand, the way I look them in the eye, you know, things like that, they create a movement unknowingly and knowingly. You know, and just the way that you tell young men, walk on the right side of the street, open the car door. There might not be a lot of men doing it, but if they see you doing it, they're going to say, hey, why are you doing that?
Right.
So they can question that. So I think it's not a huge thing. It's just men talking to men. You know, if you're having problems in your marriage, don't be afraid to talk to another man about it. Hey, listen, this is what's going on. How can I get some advice, some wisdom, some help? You know, when that happens, then there can be change.
So a question I have is that in today's culture, the term, the word, masculine, is now associated with such negativity. Whereas masculinity is equated to violence and destruction and things of that nature. How do you exist in your masculine energy to present yourself as a whole man in a culture that looks to tear a whole man down?
That's a great question. I think you just show up and be you. You know, there's going to be a lot of different things shot at the man because the enemy wants to break up family. So like Van was saying about, thank you for your kind sentiments too, my brother. I appreciate it. Like Van was saying, the houses in Israel were built with the cornerstone. So if you're going to knock that cornerstone out, everything else is going to fall apart. Just why if you go all the way back to the slavery days, how they would take the man out of the house and make the woman first. They would try to reverse the order. So men like myself and other men coming up, you just stand and be firm in who you are. There's so much to the universe, there's so much for society that it debunks that masculinity attack. You know, because even if you break it down to the Me Too movement, the Me Too movement was good for a certain time, you know, to, you know, give the women who were going through that a voice. But it's not supposed to be to the point where we disregard man. You know, without a woman, you can't get a child here. Without a man, you have no seed to get a child here either. So we need each other. So that's what's important, to keep preaching that we need each other. If the human race wants to exist, we both have to coexist with each other.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because, I mean, we have to go back to science. It says the man was formed and the woman was built. So built, she was constructed, but man was formed. It's the reason why he has a broader mass, and it's simply to protect. So that's why masculinity comes along with the man. So when you're telling us not to be masculine, you're telling us not to be ourselves.
Right.
And so we can't pay attention to it. That's why this time is so critical, where we have to stand in not our truth, stand in the truth.
Right.
Because there's no such thing as our. There's only the truth. And the truth is, we were built different simply to protect our family. So you cannot take away our masculinity simply because you want the lines to be blurred on what it means. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that women today are breaking you guys down, like breaking down your masculinity, breaking down your self-esteem, your confidence, in a way where it's like men aren't able to be in their position? Because there's so many women now that feels like, well, I don't need a man. You know, all men do is cheat, or, you know, I'm a strong black woman. I don't need no man to come in here. You know what I mean? Do you feel like, what's your opinion or insight on women who try to break down our men, or try to just have men go through like a downward spiral?
Well, see, the thing is, first I would say I empathize and I have compassion towards them, because it's not really them speaking, it's their hurt.
Yes.
See, we're not supposed to speak in love out of our feelings. We're supposed to speak in love out of the truth. And the problem is, because her father was missing, now there's this empathy, not empathy, there's this hatred, and she may not even be aware that she's speaking ill of something simply because she never had it. And so every time I see that, my heart goes out to that person, because I know that it's just misguided anger.
Yes.
And what I know to be true is, as strange and as destructive as our feelings are, it could all be changed when we stand in our truth and still come in love, still come in consideration, still come with, I don't care what you've experienced and the darts that you're throwing at me. My goal is to simply love you and liberate every disease that you've been feeling.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, a woman that's in that state is, they're acting out of a deficiency. You know, because no one would treat another person that way. So, as I'm thinking about Slim Shady, would a real Slim Shady stand up? Because I'm thinking like, would a real man stand up? Because when you step into your fullness, no one should be able to break you down. If anyone's tearing you down, then they're not for you. You know, so you should have enough love and consideration for yourself to walk away and say, hey, this is not for me right now. I'll pray for you, and I pray that you would get things together and walk away. That's what I was thinking about with a real Slim Shady. Please stand up, because the real men have to stand up. You know, you have to raise a standard in society. You know, when men stop taking certain things, then certain things won't happen. Women want to submit. It's not that they don't. They do. But the fact that the man is not submitted to his father makes it hard for them to submit. So that's why I always say, where you find, I always tell women this, better yet, I always tell women this, to be married is your right. It is your right to be married. But you do have to have wisdom when you find that person. Not saying you can't find someone in the club. I'm not saying that you can't do that. But if you find someone there, then you got to know what you're dealing with. You know, so it's best to find a man in his vision.
That's really
Right.
When you find him in his vision, he can lead you somewhere.
Right.
So you don't waste time.
Yeah.
No question.
What I was going to ask is, at what point in your lives did you realize that, you know what, there's certain things that I won't take anymore. There's certain things that I'm no longer willing to put up with and deal with. I don't want to be a part of that cycle anymore.
Right.
And I've now found myself, and I'm not putting up with this anymore. What was that finding moment or that aha moment for you where you found your value and said enough is enough from what I won't or will take from a woman?
Yeah, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about a van seeing me in a car shaking like a leaf when I was going through this relationship. You you never think you'll find yourself stalking somebody.
Well,
as good looking as I am,
you better go
as filled with power that I am,
Yeah,
you outside somebody else 3 in the morning.
Yeah, stalking.
But what I learned from that situation is not the woman and what was going on. I was in a place of self-discovery, of self-worth. Because if I had the right amount of self-worth, I'm not going to take my ass, you know what I'm saying, to be out in front of somebody's house because that relationship was already over. So I think when you value yourself and you have self-worth, there's certain things that you will not take. That's like if you give me your hand. Now let my hand go. No, just like open it. I'm holding you. I don't need you to hold me.
That's good.
I'm holding you. So that's how you got to look at your self-worth.
Right.
So that you have the ability to let go when you want to let go because it's not benefiting you.
Right.
You know.
Wow.
Yeah, discovery, self-worth happened at the most difficult time in my life when my father passed away. And I was at the funeral, and it just happened to be at Dr. Miles' church. And then I went to the church the very next Sunday, and it was he was teaching on the 10 habits of a wise man. And he, for the first time in my life, I saw someone break down what it means to be a man and the attributes that he should have. And in that moment, he taught me that the first thing a man needs, is to be in the presence of God. The second thing he needs is to be working. Then the next thing he needs is to make sure that he is fulfilling the plans of God. He needs to know the word. And then all of these attributes are learned before the woman arrives. And so I learned that purpose is more important than the woman. A man is fulfilled in his gift. The woman could never please the man the way his spiritual work can. A man is meant to be sustained by his spiritual work. And man, when I heard that, I started to automatically walk in that direction. And it's almost like a veil has been lifted over my face, and I started to see things for what they were, meaning you are no longer my God, woman. My job is to create materials in the earth to sustain you, but you are no longer my God, and that's when the shift happened.
I definitely have a question as you reference woman and as you touched on submission. As it pertains to our current culture and the word equality, it's a topic of discussion where there is a competition for equality.
Right.
But when we look at it biblically, and we exist in the space of equality in our household, what is your definition of equality in your household before you enter into society, relationally between yourself and your wife?
There's no equality in my household. It's a dictatorship.
Of who? Man or woman?
When my wife says jump, I say how high. No, I think what it is, it's proper submission is what's equality. If I'm submitted to the Father and she's submitted to me, it's an equal thing. The thing that is important is to make sure that your wife has a voice in her home. She has to have a voice in her home, and her voice has to matter.
That's good.
And when that happens, things can be in harmony. You know, now when you take equality outside of the home, it's a different scale, because then you have women who are able and capable of doing the same work, like in my field, as far as directing, producing, writing. You know, they want equality to get the same pay and the same opportunities.
Yes.
And that's across the board. That should be, you know, who's the best for the job.
Yeah.
It should be equal across the board.
Yeah.
And that does start in the home. You know, so I always make sure that my wife has a voice. Well, what do you mean? How do you feel? What do you think about this? You know, when she knows that her voice matters, it gives her encouragement and confidence.
Yes.
Then also gives me trust in her and her to have trust in me.
Yes.
So when we at a party and she give me the double tap on the shoulder, I don't need to know what's going on. I know it's time to go.
Right.
Because she has a voice in her home.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think we need to get to understand anytime we're talking about something, we have to understand the definition of it. And I think society doesn't understand submission because we live in a secular world, but we are of spiritual people following spiritual things.
Yeah.
And submission is a spiritual word. Submission simply means responsibility. It means that the man is responsible for everything underneath his care.
Yeah.
And it says the woman is a helper. So if I'm asking her to lift this table and she has to help me, she has to be as strong as me or stronger.
That's good.
So it doesn't mean that she is weaker. It doesn't mean that she's less. She actually is more powerful, simply because anytime the Bible refers to wisdom, it says she.
Well, amen. That's the word.
So
good.
we have to listen to them because she sets everything in motion. We only have the blueprint. She colors them all in. So she has more of the intricate details. But the man, when he is lured away by the devil's trinkets, he's taught that he has to put this woman under submission. Because remember, from the very beginning, she was carrying something that was going to be demise of the devil. So it depends on who the man is following. He'll understand to put his queen in a proper place. But
And it depends on who the woman is following to even know the meaning of submission, because a lot of times
Right.
we don't know the meaning. You have to go to the Bible to learn the true meaning, because society will tell you a
Right.
crazy meaning.
yeah.
But since we're talking about men, we need you.
Can I just add one little button?
Yes.
Just to make it simple. The man is the head.
Yes.
The woman is the neck.
Yes.
She can turn that situation either way she wants. That's the power that women have.
Yeah.
Sometimes women don't take a hold of their power.
That's
Right.
so good. Say it again.
The man is the head, and the woman is the neck.
And we give a lot of it sometimes.
You know what I'm saying? You do. Exactly.
Women really, this is so important. Women really need to sit in the seat of their power, man.
Yeah.
If they only knew the power that they have. But the problem is they believe because they talk much that they're speaking truth. The key is you speak less, but when you speak of substance. We're very simple creatures. So if you give us 2 hours of conversation, that's going to shoot right by us. If you speak with intentionality and you just tell us what you need and what you like, it will go a long way.
One of the examples TD gave was a man can say, "What's for dinner?" And a woman is going to say, "Well, you know what? I went to the grocery store today and I ran into my girlfriend, and can you believe what she said? She said this and that." And literally, we've lost him immediately, because all he wants to know is what's for dinner.
Chicken.
Chicken. And I think that is a lot of the miscommunication when men and women are speaking to each other, because the man is looking for the answer. And we are filled with so much sometimes that we just run in circles and in circles and in circles. And I learned so much from that, because it helped me to deal with my husband, because I was definitely a circle talker. Now when he asks me something, I remind myself to answer his question. I can go into all that after, but he really asked me a very simple question, and I give him that answer.
And then, know your woman and know your man.
Yeah.
So now, most men are probably straight like that. Me, I'm the opposite. I'm more like the woman, and my wife's more like the man.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So I might talk in circles, and she like, well, just get to the point. You know what I'm saying? But it's just different. Like some, like, you know, we hear people saying men don't like flowers. I love flowers, but my wife doesn't.
Well, the whole house is pink.
It's not pink, it's blush.
Blush, not blush. Stop
It's a
that.
little blush. You know, but it's just knowing your partner.
Yeah.
You know, knowing how they work. Take time to know how your partner works.
Right.
So because this topic is men, we need you. Can we speak to the audience and give your insight on what is the man's responsibility to mankind, so that we can understand, we as women, why we need our men?
Man's responsibility is to be the foundation. God's simply whole desire for mankind is simply our job was to bring heaven to earth. So earth was supposed to be a colony of heaven. And the only way the man is going to do that is we all dominate from our area of gifting. You know, so Will is an actor, and every time he literally creates projects and all these things, people see him dominating in his gifting. Now when he speaks, that carries out the message and the tenets of God, and then other men respond. And we're supposed to protect our women and literally advance the kingdom forward. So when it's all said and done, earth was supposed to be a replica of heaven. But men have to dominate through that area of gifting. We think that it's this complicated thing. No, it's simply finding out what God asks you to do and dominate in the area of it. And everything else flows from there. I mean, it's simple in that context, and then all the other stuff, the Father, there are many hats, but there's still that one dominating function is finding out what God wants you to do and fulfilling it before you die.
And I would add just, God said, let us make man in our image, male and female. So meaning that you cannot be a man unless you possess that female part. That's why we need each other.
That's good.
What would you say changed in both of you when you chose your wife and got married?
You know, I felt like Teflon, you know, because now I'm man.
Yes.
I'm no longer walking as a male.
That's
I'm
very
a
good.
man, you know, and then you have a sense of, you know, you get that blessing God talk about, you know, when a man finds a wife, finds a good thing, and obtains favor from the Lord. You feel that favor. You walk around with that favor.
Yes.
And to make it simple, you ain't got to go looking for sex.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go looking for sex. You know?
You can feel good on Sunday morning.
You can feel good
Get
on
you
Sunday.
something, go to church.
Yeah, go to church. Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
I want to honor our women who sent emails of questions. So we want to ask you guys at least
We have a couple
3-4 questions.
Yeah.
If you guys don't mind answering.
Ooh, I have a good one. Go ahead.
And you guys don't both have to answer. So Will can answer, then we can ask me another one.
Okay, Nancy from Philly.
Hey now.
What are the qualities a great man look for in a woman? Thank you for a great question. And since you talking about marriage, let's go there.
I mean, I can't simplify the qualities for each man that we look for in a woman, but what I look for is uniqueness and a depth of knowing yourself. You ain't got to know yourself all in and out. How can I put it? I'll put it like this. I'm looking for a land that I can cultivate.
That's good.
You know, I don't want a land that is so rigid, it's unwilling to be cultivated.
That's good.
Because my job is to plant seeds.
Yeah.
It's her job to be a multiplier, to grow that seed.
Right.
You know, just like this, if I give you a loaf of bread, you give me a sandwich. I give you a house, you give me a home.
Yeah.
I give you hell, I give you anger, you give me air.
Right.
You know, so I give you a seed, you give me a child.
Incubator.
So you are an incubate that word.
Right.
It ain't coming out right.
Incubator.
Yeah, you are that word.
Right.
You know, to incubate my dreams.
Right.
You know, this is so important that I think men miss is that women are multipliers. You know, that's why when a man gets with a woman, he just takes off.
Amen.
Even in my career, things were moving here and there, but when I got with the multiplier, then it's just like boom, 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 boom.
Keys, the key.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
this is the same reason why you see, if you break it down with pimps, why pimps use women. Because they understand that logic. They just doing it negatively.
Yeah.
You know, that's how they make their money, because they know they can make things happen and multiply things. So I'm looking for a good land that I can sow into.
Yes.
And I think men have to be very cautious when they're purchasing their land.
Woo!
You got a lot of quotes come out of that one.
Seriously, you should write a book. And then
Upcoming.
give me 10%. Sorry.
It's on camera.
She for
I'm just
real.
playing. Jessica from Pasadena. Why do women feel like it's hard to find a good man? Thank you, Jessica.
Why do they feel like it's hard to find a good man? There is some truth to that, but again, if I want something, and this is something that I want, then I can't put the blame on the something else. I have to first become what I want.
That's good.
And once I become what I want, I would attract what I want. So I would say to that lady who was saying it's difficult to find, I would say become that. Spend your time. What was the last book you read on communication? What was the last time you went to an open forum where they speak on the consciousness of being in healthy relationships? All of these things where you would find what you're looking for, but first you have to become that. You have to become a master of self, like Will said. You have to know who you are. You have to discover what you're meant to do, and then start doing that. And in the midst of you doing that, you will always find what you're looking for.
That's really good.
And just to piggyback on that, when we're talking about the land doesn't care.
Right.
If you plant nightshade, you're going to plant poison. So in your mind, if you're telling yourself, there's no good men, it's difficult to find men.
Wow.
The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Right.
Meaning the heart is your subconscious.
Yes.
Right.
So in your subconscious mind, you're saying there's not a good man.
Yeah.
So it keeps projecting and,
Yeah.
and painting that image for you.
Yeah.
Right.
All you have to do is simply change that. There's the right man for me.
Right.
Yes.
There's the right man for me. Marriage is my right. I'm going to
Yes.
find the person is going to find me.
Yeah.
Once you change that cycle,
Right.
then it will appear.
Absolutely.
If you don't change the cycle, you're going to keep getting
Yeah.
what you've been getting.
Yeah.
That's
That's the
just the
thing.
way the
Yeah.
cycle of the universe works.
Yes.
You know, that's why I said the land doesn't care. Whatever you plant, it's going to grow it.
Yes. That was me. I can't lie. I was so guilty of there's no one for me. I will never find him. It's not going to happen until God was like, listen, stop speaking that. And know that I'm all that you need. So if you find me, I'm going to produce what it is that you're looking for. But if you keep telling me there's nobody for you, I can't even make room for him to come.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you basically repented, which means you had a change of mind.
I did. I
You had
had
a change of mind, and look, now you have a husband with two
Yeah.
beautiful children.
Yeah.
And you, yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And the
thank
most
you.
powerful thing women could take away from this is, like I said, every time the Bible speaks about wisdom, it says her. And this whole Me Too movement, it seems like the genesis of it is simply finding, exposing, and then discarding. There is no redemption project. And we have to understand that these men are still our brothers and sisters, still our brothers and husbands. And what are you going to do? Are we just going to discard them? It says woman is wisdom. And if she is wisdom, then we need to exemplify what wisdom is. And so why not introducing and uplifting and edifying our men? Instead of speaking to their worst crisis, their worst downfall, their worst decision, why don't you speak to the truth of who they are? Because there's a difference between fact versus truth. The fact is, yes, he did do that. Yes, he did take that. Yes, he did do this thing and it cost him his freedom. But when he gets out, there's still the truth left, and the truth is the destiny that's still sitting in his heart that God has given him.
Yeah.
And so we have to still edify and uplift our men, because that's what we do for our women. We don't look at your find out that moment where you was the worst functioning person, and then we take that and we let you pay for that for the rest of your life.
That's really good.
No, we literally say, hey, no, that's the past.
Wow, women don't get over stuff.
We gotta work on that, ladies.
So make that one question.
Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna do Karen from LA. Hey, girl. So what she's asking is, what are 3 questions that a woman should ask a man in order to know if he is ready for marriage?
Or even ready for her.
Yeah.
Well, hey, hold on. This Karen
That's
question.
Karen.
That's true.
This Karen. Karen said she want to know. I'm gonna ask one more time. What are 3 questions a woman should ask a man in order to know if he is ready for marriage?
The first question she has to ask, are you aggressively pursuing God? Not, are you a Christian? A Christian simply means, I know who God is. Are you aggressively pursuing God means that there's hardcore data to back it up. Because anytime a man is pursuing God's presence, he has a higher chance of being an upstanding citizen. The number 2 question is, not if you love me, but do you love you? Because the level of him loving himself will determine your safety in his presence. Do you love you? And ask him to give hardcore data of evidence of his love for himself. Does he put foreign substance in his body? Does he does things that will cause him to take away his freedom? Look at his life and see the evidence of his love for himself. The third question is, why do you want to be married? It's why do you want to be married? See, that question is a very, very, very pivotal question, because it's simply, if he's saying, I want to marry because that's what you want, or I want to marry because it's time, I'm 35 years old and I want to have kids. The only reason why, biblically, a man should want to be married is simply because there's a purpose and an intent. I'm ready to give. Because I am love, I'm deciding to give it to you. Because there are things we have to do together in this walk. So these 3 questions will give a good indication on whether he's healthy. Is he aggressively pursuing God? Does he love himself? And why do you want to be married?
But I'll just add a 4th one. What is your vision? Because if the man has no vision, he cannot lead you anywhere. He has to have a vision. And it doesn't mean that he has to have everything thought out, but he has to have a general idea of where he's going. Because the woman is called a helper. So what is she helping you with? If you have no vision. After you answer the first 3. But if you don't answer the first 3, then my brother said you can't even get to 4.
4 is the bonus, right?
So, okay, let's Amber from Georgia. As a man, what happens to your mentality when a woman give up the goodies too soon?
Ooh, that's a real question.
I'm gonna ask again. Thank you, Amber from
Thank
Georgia.
you, girl. A lot of people want to know, girl.
Because we do want to know that,
Yeah.
As a man, what happens to your mentality when women give up the goodies too soon?
I would say it just depends.
Okay, now.
It depends on the situation. You know what I mean? Because it depends on where the man is at. See, now, if you're dealing with people 30 plus, they have a different mindset about the goodies.
Right.
Maybe they've been married before. Maybe they're not looking to be married again.
Right.
So that the goodies too soon may not apply to them. Now, if you're a younger man in your 20s, then you're going to look at the goodies too soon. You're going to start to think, oh, maybe she's giving this to everybody else.
That's
You know what I'm saying? So You know, it just depends on the circumstance, you know,
Right.
and what you're looking for, you know. But a man will always question unless he, you know, got a general idea what kind of woman that he's dealing with.
Right.
You know, if it's a one-night stand, you already in the back of your mind, you're like,
Yeah.
you know. But I mean, if you like 37 and y'all having a good time, it's, you know, it could be different.
Well, I think it depends on, like Will said, the guy, because as much as the biggest misconception is men don't daydream. The minute a man meets, he does have a thought of the future, depending on his level of curiosity and the charisma that the woman has. And then you give it away real quick. There's a tendency to think that if you give it away this quick, imagine how many other men you've given it away to. So I would advise women not to do that. But sometimes there are certain things where it does move along real fast. And just because it happened real fast, it doesn't negate the truth of what's happening. And you still see great relationship go on to forge. But at the same time, if I was the woman, I would still try to refrain and wait as long as possible, just simply because you don't want him to have mixed thoughts in his head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before you guys leave us, you know, what are some ways that we as women can support you men?
Once again, women, their voice, if they only knew the words that they carry and how much it means to the men. Remember, you are raising our sons. Remember, you are sisters to the brothers, and every single thing you do, the way you speak to us, it literally gives us wings. Because we were literally born to protect and to sustain and to provide for you. And anytime the man is not his true self, you guys pay for it twice. You pay for it when the father is not there, and then you pay for it when you meet your potential husband. Simply because you've never seen what a true father is in your home, so now you are left to experimentations. So anytime a woman is asking, once a man asks for a woman's hand in marriage, don't be so quick to say yes. Ask, where are we going? Will spoke to vision. If he doesn't know where he's going, and he doesn't have a vision for you and the family, then before you get all this fuzzy feeling and wanting the diamond ring, is a possibility he may be leading you to your demise. So instead of creating this happy, euphoric family that's going to forge and create beautiful things on behalf of God, you've literally just destroyed your vision and dreams, because you're choosing something based on the carrot versus the truth of God. So we have to make sure that ask him tough questions about him. Make sure that he is who he say he is. Because you are God's wisdom. And nothing corrupts and exposes him faster when you know truth and you're presenting it to him. Say, reveal it.
Can you speak to not just marriage, but as women and men in whole, and just in the community, in the world? Seriously, like not just marriage, but I want to speak to like on a regular day-to-day basis. How can we as women? I mean, that was great.
Yes.
That was needed.
One perspective.
But yeah, but now with this
Female
perspective,
help
how
male.
can we help you guys be in a better to support you to be a better man, or to support you protecting us, or to support the fact that let's no longer break down our men. We need each other.
Right.
So can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's very simple. Women, let your wills build, not destroy.
Right.
in everything you do, ask yourself that question, whether it's in marriage, whether it's outside of marriage, whether it's in the world, whether it's in the working place. And what I'm saying, is it building or is it destroying this person? Mm-hmm. And that's not just with men, that's in your women to women relationships.
Right.
Women's words are so powerful and so sharp, they should be able to build and not destroy. Is my words building or am I destroying this person? Because it's nothing like when a woman tells a man, you can do it. Mm-hmm. You can make it. The whole world can be against this man. This is why Dr. King can kneel and do his thing when Coretta Scott King is saying, Martin, go be Martin. You don't
Obama,
need Michelle Obama saying, Obama be Obama.
Yeah.
You know, it's nothing like that because the woman carries that power. So let your words build and not destroy.
That's so good. Cheers to that. That's so good, ladies.
So grateful that you guys could join us and impart this wisdom and share some insight, because a lot of times women wonder and the conversation isn't being had to the depth of this degree. So
we celebrate you guys because we're blessed to have you guys in our life to receive the wisdom we get from y'all on a regular basis.
We spoiled. Y'all phone call away.
Yes. Cheers to y'all. Cheers.
Well, we just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. We hope that you guys got some great insight from these amazing Black men. And we hope that now with the information and knowledge that you do have, help us support our men. Yes. Because it's not every day that you see men out here really doing what God has called them to do. But if we continue to support them and they continue to show that example, we will have more men rising up. Amen. So thank you again for tuning in. Leave your question, comments below. You can follow Will. His info is right here. You can follow Van. And Soulful of life. So full of love. So